So I just watched a video by Saberspark, and I can understand where he's coming from. You know, he one of the things that put him on the map as far as being a top YouTube content creator is the fact that he has this series called What's Ruining, or at least one of the series is called What's Ruining. And he uses this series to talk about, in his own opinion, after doing some research and stuff, what he feels is ruining a certain franchise or character or whatever. And he did a video talking about SpongeBob and his love for the character, basically growing up with it since 1999 when he was in middle school. Now, for me, honestly, I knew about SpongeBob, but the thing is, I was already out of high school when this thing debuted. I was 1 year out of high school. Yeah. I was basically 18 years old when I graduated high school. I turned 19 2 months later, and this is in 1998. And then I turned 20. I was out here to celebrate my 20th birthday with my family in 1999. So I was just barely out of high school when this show debuted. And the fact that it's had a long-lasting life, I have to respect it for that. I have to respect the fact that it has done the one thing that not many shows do, and that's get a long-lasting lifespan. Even though a lot of people feel that the best limit for a long-lasting lifespan is between 5 to 10 years. This is why a lot of folks were happy that even though from an animation standpoint Friendship is Magic was done, that it was still continuing on through the comic with season 10. So at least, in a way, it got a decade's worth of adventures within the same continuity within the same continuity that was already established in the show. But with SpongeBob, you would think after getting maybe one, maybe two movies, that would be it, right? Like he gets his 2 movies, that's it. Nope. They decided they need to do a third one. They decided they need to do various specials and stuff. And it's like, seriously, when is enough enough? And now they're spinning off SpongeBob into Camp Coral, the Patrick Star Show, which obviously, I'll tell you honestly, nobody asked for that. And nobody asked for babyfication, as some people call it, of the SpongeBob characters. Because when you're babyficationing, the SpongeBob characters for Camp Coral, you're essentially rebooting the entire franchise. And if the original creator, when he was around, when he was alive, Steve Hillenburg, if he didn't want this, then why not respect his wishes? And I think it's what Saberspark said best. It's about greed. And unfortunately, that's the reality. A lot of corporate companies out there will, basically will be like, well, I wouldn't say the anchor, but they'll basically be like that rocket ship you need to launch your IP, your idea, into the stratosphere for everybody to see and enjoy. But once that original creator passes on, unfortunately, basically, your IP, if its last, known existence is part of that corporation that you teamed with to launch it into the stratosphere, if they're the last known entity to kind of like have ownership of it, then yeah, basically that IP is going to get abused. It's going to get abused, and that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. I mean, look at The Simpsons. Everybody loves The Simpsons. And one thing people will credit The Simpsons for is they try to, every other few seasons, they try to reinvent themselves. They try to reestablish themselves. They try to, in a sense, softly retcon and reboot things that happened, but stay within the continuity and the context of what made them a very popular show. And because of that, people don't complain. I mean, yes, they do, but they don't totally complain as much about The Simpsons continuing on, because at least they're trying to, as I said, reinvent themselves. They're trying to, come up with some fresh creative ideas to go with. But when it comes to something like SpongeBob, you're just repeating the same things over and over and over again. Ideas and stories that Steven had come up with beforehand, and you're continuously trying to depend on those ideas once again, but in a more different setting, a more different scenario. And now what's crazy is you want to basically depend on those same ideas, those same stories that you did in SpongeBob, but now with the spin-offs. Spin-offs that Steven didn't want around. Spin-offs that those close to Steven have come out and basically said he never wanted. This, to me, shows once and for all what a lot of us pretty much felt, when it came to The Simpsons at first, and now most importantly with SpongeBob. And that is that Nickelodeon and the creative team behind the show have no confidence. People complain about the WWE not building new stars and having no confidence in letting the up and coming talent, be themselves and establish themselves and show what they can do. People complain about them not allowing a lot of those talents to do that. And instead they depend on already established names or legends or whatever. Or if they do catch lightning in a bottle, they'll just let that person do what they want and that's it. SpongeBob can be looked at as being Nickelodeon's equivalent of WWE. Yeah. SpongeBob can be looked at as the equivalent of WWE not, wanting, or not, let me put it this way. SpongeBob, let me correct myself, let me rewind. Okay. What I'm trying to say is you can look at SpongeBob as being Nickelodeon's equivalent of WWE, and the fact that Nickelodeon depends on SpongeBob, and anything that comes from SpongeBob more so than they depend on creating and bringing forth new IPs, new fresh ideas. That's what I was trying to get at. And when you put something into that category where you basically say, yeah, we have all these other shows, but they're nothing like this. They're nothing like SpongeBob. SpongeBob's our number one guy. SpongeBob's our number one franchise player. We could depend on him all the time. All these other shows, yeah, they're good and everything, but this is the one. This is the one. When you put yourself into that category, just like WWE is, like I said, blamed for doing when they depend on certain talents and legends being like, oh, we can depend on them, no problem. All these other people, yeah, they're good, but these are the people. These are the people. It's like you're becoming your worst enemy. You're becoming your own worst enemy, and you're basically alienating your fan base. You're alienating the fan base that grew up with SpongeBob from 1999, and in a way you're alienating the fan base you're trying to keep that became fans of this spongy little dum-dum, excuse my language, God, because that was, to be honest, that's what he is. You're alienating that newer fan base, by basically continuously pushing him, in our faces. I mean, it's great if you want to establish a SpongeBob YouTube page. Guess what? That's fine. Put all the SpongeBob you want on there. But guess what? Don't sacrifice your own network or your spin-off networks to say, he's our guy. This is our franchise. Because he's not. You have other IPs on your networks. Focus on them. Give them an opportunity to shine. Again, comparisons to WWE. People say WWE needs to let the other talent shine, be themselves, do their own thing, and see what happens. Same thing with Nickelodeon and Paramount and all of them. They need to let other IPs breathe, shine, and break through. Because if you constantly depend on SpongeBob and you constantly depend on anything you can spin off and make money off of with him, then you will regret it. You will regret it in the long run, and you know it. You as Nickelodeon, you as Paramount, you as anybody behind the shows and the spin-offs will regret it in the long run, because you will become your own worst enemy. You will basically, like I say, alienate everybody that's enjoyed this franchise you will alienate them and push them away because you're not focusing on other properties that need to shine. Instead, it's just SpongeBob, SpongeBob, SpongeBob. Everybody complains that Cartoon Network has become the Teen Titans Go network. Well, guess what? Yes, you get a lot of Teen Titans Go, but now they're basically finally realizing, yeah, we have a lot of Teen Titans Go, we can do that. We also got Boomerang streaming service, we got HBO Max. They're realizing they got more outlets. They don't have to rely on Cartoon Network all the time. And now Cartoon Network has an opportunity to breathe and let other IPs shine through. And guess what? Because they're finally realizing they can let other IPs breathe and shine through, people are getting a kick out of these IPs. They're discovering them. They're enjoying them. I mean, Gumball is another one that people could say, oh, it's becoming the Gumball network. But guess what? He's not shown as much as Teen Titans was. And guess what? Because of that, people got to rediscover Gumball because now he's getting more of an opportunity. And guess what's becoming out of it? A new movie and a new show. And a new movie and show is going to be on HBO Max because they don't have more breathing room. The point is, Nickelodeon needs to not keep pushing the SpongeBob train. Because if you keep pushing it, you're going to keep pushing it over a cliff and it's going to implode and you will have nothing. You will have nothing. I mean, this is why when John Cena went away for a while, went to Hollywood and everything, and he's come back, guess what? People were glad to see him. So guess what you need to do with SpongeBob? Stop making new shows. Stop making spin-offs. Let SpongeBob just go away for a while. Have the reruns on YouTube or whatever, but let him go away. And then if you decide to bring him back after a few years, guess what? People will be happy to see it. The fact is, all you're doing in the end, Nickelodeon, is you're becoming your own worst enemy. That's what's happening. And you need to stop becoming your own worst enemy. I mean, when you have somebody like Saberspark that grew up and loves the SpongeBob franchise, and even he is conflicted about what he's got to say and point out during his What's Ruining video that he's going to do. When you have him in that state of mind, getting ready to do that kind of video, then you know you've messed up. You know you screwed up. And you need to stop. You need to stop. So anyway, I just wanted to do this in response to his video, as well as give you my opinion on the whole situation. But what do you guys think? Do you think Nickelodeon's overdoing it? Do you think they need to stop? Do you think they are becoming their own worst enemies? Let me know down below in the comment section, as well as during the live chat during the premiere. Like the video. Check me out on Patreon at Brian Wallman BW Roses, as well as check me out at Teespring store, at my Teespring store below, as well as check me out on BW Roses discussions on all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora, as well as check me out on Vimeo at BW Roses as well. But guys, again, let me know what your thoughts are, and I'm out.